faster and talk to people that are running businesses, they're running nonprofits, and share some of their best practices in this season. Share what they're doing to still move ahead, still move their initiatives ahead, still stay focused on the goals that they had initially set out to do, but discuss the ways that those have changed, discuss how they're showing up for their staff, for their team, for their clients differently. So we can share those best practices, and we can all benefit from that. So we can't change the amount of time that we're in this. We can't change the some of the economic indicators and restrictions. We don't necessarily have influence over those, but what we do have influence over is what we do with this time. The results that we get out of this, we do have influence over that. So what we've done is we've brought together many people that are still driving hard for results. They're still focused on their initiatives. They're still focused on their mission. And they're using this time. Some are using it to reevaluate their business processes. Some are using it to reevaluate their customer demographic, or sometimes they're changing their missions a little bit. So we'll talk more about that here shortly. But without further ado, I want to jump into my guest today. So Kim Karr is the co-founder of the nonprofit I Can Help. They help students and adults use technology and social media for the good. So we're going to hear more about that. I Can Help is an outcome-based program receiving recognition from names like the New York Yankees, Google, Twitter, Facebook, and many, many others that Kim has talked to us about. She'll go into that a little bit more. We'll put the link for I Can Help in both the show notes and in the Facebook and YouTube links. But let's hear it directly from Kim. So thank you so much, Kim, for joining us today.
Oh my gosh, April, thank you so much for having me. You know, I told April I'm a super fangirl of her. I love your podcast. It's like I have ADD, so your podcasts are like 7 minutes, and it's like perfect amount of time for my attention span. So and they're just great content. So thank you.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm so glad to have you on. So Kim and I met at it was at a Lewis Howes event, wasn't it? Yeah, at the Summit of Greatness. Yeah. And we had a chat, and I remember the very first chat we had, it was early morning. I think we both had cups of coffee in our hands, and we were, I think I described it as we were standing in the not so VIP line that we were supposed to be in a VIP line. We're standing there going, why is this line so long? How did this work out? Kind of, in Columbus, Ohio. And I remember you talking about the work that you do and the passion that you had. And I think you had someone with you that was part of the nonprofit, or a student that was part of it. And it came across so clearly. And I thought, this is not the last time Kim and I are going to interact. Like we got a future together. I'm not sure how or when, but it's going to happen. So I'm glad that you're here today.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So Kim, tell us about yourself. Tell us about the work that you do, and give us a little bit of background.
Yeah. So I taught for 13 years, was a middle school PE and leadership teacher. Wow. And then I just kept seeing issues come up with social media. All these students kept coming with different problems that they're having. And then I got asked at a camp to go do like a course about digital etiquette. And I was like, okay. So from that, it just more spiral came out of it. So I created a nonprofit called #ICanHelp. And I was still teaching and doing the nonprofit, but then it kind of got to the point where Google picked it up, and someone from Twitter came and watched a presentation. And then from there, I'm now in my 5th year of doing and working full time for my nonprofit.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it all started from a request for a digital etiquette
digital etiquette. And the main story came from someone created a fake Facebook page of one of my teachers at my school. And it went on for 2 weeks, super hurtful, super cruel, until finally one student spoke up and said, wanted to turn it in, but they were afraid to turn it in because they were afraid to get made fun of. But I had to basically say, like, yeah, people are probably going to make fun of you, right? But you're going to find out who your real friends are and who your real friends aren't. And, your real friends are going to have your back. Once we had a conversation to them, a lot of students were scared to say anything because they didn't want oh, you're the narc, you're the snitch. A lot of them didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to handle it. So I gave them different options of what they can do, because I get it. Like there's so many awkward things. You just don't know how to handle something. So if you give people multiple ways they can handle something, then they will feel comfortable. So then the next year, someone made a fake Instagram page and the exact same teacher, but this time somebody reported it right away. It was over 30 students who actually commented on there respectfully saying, hey, this isn't okay. You need to take this down. They even said, I'm going to let the school know. Because they all text each other, like, I'm gonna say something. Can you do something? Say something too, so they wouldn't feel like they were alone. It was shut down in 40 minutes, and nobody followed that page. So that's kind of the power that you have when you educate people on how to handle something and do that. So our mission for I Can Help is to educate and empower students and adults to be positive online.
So that's a great story. So Kim, I just I just got to recap. So same teacher. So the first scenario was someone creates a fake social media account for this teacher. And then at first, nobody's saying anything. A lot of people know about it. A lot of students know about it. Nobody says anything. Someone finally comes forward. And then fast forward, you've done some education, you've done some work. Someone does it again, and multiple people come forward. Multiple people do the right thing.
Yeah, 30 students commented in a respectful way in the encouragement of take this down. Yeah. And nobody followed. Before, it was 1,000 people followed, and it took 2 weeks to take it down. And then a year later, it was 30 people commented respectfully. Nobody followed, and it was taken down in 40 minutes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's the best. That's your best case study right there. I mean, just the power of the work that you guys did.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, every time Kim, you and I talk, I'm always amazed at, this is a world that I don't know. And I really appreciate the education. Kim and I went to sushi. I was going to say recently, but I guess pre-pandemic, Kim and I had sushi and you were running through the things that happen. And just what you just said, creating a fake social media account for a teacher would have never occurred to me, as, you know, it's just not on my radar. My kids are still a little too young to be in that world. But talk to us about some of the things that are happening out there. And specifically for those of us who maybe don't know, maybe our kids are too young, maybe you don't have kids, or maybe you do have kids and you're just completely unaware of their digital life.
Yeah. Well, the one that's right now, I literally just got a text before I hopped on this call with you, a student that we work with. Someone created an Instagram page. It has all of her pictures on her Instagram page, and they made a new account with the same pictures that are on her account. And so she's trying to get my help to help take it down as an impersonation site. So that's literally what I just got reported right now, that I'm trying to help her go through that process of getting it down. But because we are on quarantine time, students have more time, so screen time has gone up. So there has been more fake pages, a lot of even like the cute little senior pictures, like they're doing shout outs to class of 2020. A lot of people have taken those and they made another page where they were totally bashing on those seniors and changing them to be super hurtful and like exposing them of anything about sexual stuff or whatever else, and made that page. So we helped take that one down. That was a couple weeks ago. To taking school admin pictures, and same thing, taking their heads and putting them on other things. So it is like, if you're a parent, like that's the big thing we try to tell them. Like, if you want to know who your kid hangs out with in real life, right? I'm hoping you know who they hang out with online. So checking what they are on. If they're on Instagram, you should be on Instagram. If they're playing Fortnite, you should be playing Fortnite with them, or sitting there listening to them play Fortnite so you can hear the lingo and how they talk to each other. That's so important. If they're even on Minecraft, like whatever younger ones are, you can have conversations. Roblox is another one. So if your kids are on those things, knowing even who they're following, because even the names constantly are changing. It's so easy to change your Instagram username. And trust me, they do. They'll change them, especially, boys change it to something that's like a lot of frolicky kind of, things, kind of big, everything is big.
At least that's what they put the name as. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Wow.
So, so those are kind of the things that we definitely kind of help out with. But suicide rate has massively increased. It's now the number 2 cause of death for 10 to 24-year-olds. And I really think it's not most people call it cyberbullying. It is cyberbullying, but I don't use that word with students. And here's the reason why. It's so overused. It has no emotion to them. And so I just say is being rude and cruel. Because when do you cross the line of being rude? And because they feel like everyone's rude to them. When do you cross a line of being cruel? And it's that kind of conversation that I start having with students, because they just think they're just being rude because that's how everyone is treating them. And so the suicide rate, I feel like it's gone up so much. It's because we do compare ourselves so much to others. And, I see your life and how you have these, beautiful daughters and, you got this successful business, but I'm sure I don't see all the background of it. You don't post all that stuff, right?
Messy backstory. We all have a messy backstory.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so hard for people. And so, yeah, suicide rates have completely skyrocketed. It's number 2 in the nation. In some states, it's actually now moved up to number 1.
Wow. That's
Mhm.
amazing. And you attribute that, I mean, just your opinion, you attribute that to social media?
There's no stats yet because the data is so strange because
Mhm.
everyone uses social media differently. I think
Mhm.
there's a lot of parallel connections to it, and I'm not a person at all where social media is like the devil. Like I'm actually the opposite. I think social media is a great tool. Like look at how amazing this is and who you're able
Mhm.
to get to in your audience. It's
Mhm.
just you really have to teach them how to use it for their well-being and to be able to teach them how to use it for the right reasons. And so we have a program called Digital for Good where we're recognizing students who are using digital for good and and honoring that because I feel like just like the news only wants to focus just on the negative stuff. They never want
Mhm.
to focus on the positive feel good stuff because that the negative stuff is what gets people's attention. But we're
Mhm.
trying to change that by getting the feel good stories. One of our winners this year created the ability app where he literally is anyone who has a disability, he can go to their app and they can find out, is this hotel capable for my wheelchair and needs? Like how neat is
Wow.
it?
How awesome is that?
Another girl created her nonprofit is called Kind Girls Win. And when she was in high school, she said all these girls were just mean to her. And
Mhm.
she was a mean girl because, hurt people hurt others is kind of how it goes.
Sure.
And
Mhm.
changing that mentality of hurt people need to start helping others. And so she created a nonprofit called Kind Girls Win. She's in college now. She goes down to high school, middle school. She's got girls that have these clubs nationwide now in
Mhm.
like Hawaii, California, Oregon, Arizona. Like she's got them floating around. So it's just cool to be able to see these different stories.
So I want to ask you about kind of like the what you guys do. It sounds like you do some strategy and some execution, like actually helping people get these pages down. But I've just got to
Mhm.
comment on something, Kim. As you said that, it brought up a kind of a thing that's been on my radar. Is again, we've talked about it. Our girls are younger. Our youngest just turned 7, and our oldest is 9. What's interesting is that they have already said to me multiple times. I'll hear them in their play where they're like, "Okay, I'm going to be the cool girl," and then they'll be rude, and
Mm.
they've told me on multiple occasions that cool girls are rude girls. They don't
Mhm.
like anybody. They snub their nose at people. They're not kind. They don't participate in a lot of things. And again, this is not my kids. My kids are wonderful. I mean, they're, of course I'm their mom. They're wonderful, but we're all flawed in lots of ways. But my point is that I always look at it and I go, where are they getting that from? Is that just TV? And then when I look at this, because I watch the shows that they watch, and the cool girls do tend to like be aloof and they put other people down. And
Mhm.
it's kind of interesting because I think, wow, they're getting exposed to it now on the Disney Channel. What
Mhm.
happens when they get in social media? What happens
Mhm.
when they get into that world where they already have this idea that to be the cool girl, you're supposed to be rude, you're supposed to be unkind, you're not supposed to help people. And every time they say it, it breaks my heart. And I redirect it. And I'm like, no, no, no. Let's talk about what cool girls do. But I think it's from TV that they're seeing it. But I can't imagine what that looks like when you get into social media. And I'm sure that's just amplified, like, oh, cool girls do this. So I love to kind of bring a full circle. I love that, the person that you're working with is kind of rebranding what cool is and rebranding what hurt people can do, like redefining that, because I think there's a lot of information out there to the otherwise, and kids just accept that as true. Like, this is what cool kids do. This is what, when you get hurt, this is what you go out and do.
100%. I mean, it is. It's you have to start changing that stigma of because I think the students truly do think everyone's just rude to them.
Mm.
If they're at school by 10 o'clock, someone has been rude to them already, and it's just this normal feeling. And so to get any kind of emotion out of them, you have to be super extreme. I don't know if you're familiar with the series, the 13 Reasons Why series that they had
Yes.
that
Mm-hmm.
got a huge attention. Well,
Mm-hmm.
what's sad is in the second one of it, they had to have a scene, they had to have a rape scene in it. And to be able to get any kind of empathy out of this generation, because they're exposed to so much, because they have media everywhere now, right? They're so exposed to so much media. To
Mm-hmm.
get any kind of empathy out of it, the rape scene literally was with boys raping another boy with a broomstick. And they had to go so extreme to get any kind of emotion. Because if they would just shown something very little, they wouldn't have got the empathy feel out of it. So we're having to have a change, like how to get these students' attention, be like, at what point do you cross that line of being, I'm just being rude? And when do you cross that line of now being cruel? And that's the conversation I'm constantly having with students. And even like, when are you having fun and being funny to cross that line of now you've crossed the line of being cruel to somebody, right? Like it's hard because memes are a perfect example of that too, right? Memes were intended to be funny. Like I've seen such funny memes. I love them, especially right now in the quarantine phase.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Right. But then how many of us have seen the what memes have definitely crossed the line of like, oh wow, that's harsh. So it's definitely we're getting exposed to stuff, and they're getting exposed to things, and it's getting younger and younger, and your daughters are only a certain age, and it's like they're getting exposed because they're seeing it more.
Yeah, that was a really good point I hadn't considered, is that they've seen so much, kids have seen so much that to get the kind of response that we need to, it has to be like so far out there. It has to be so extreme just to get a response because they are exposed to so many things. So what may have been horrific for us when we were 15 isn't horrific for them now.
Right. Exactly.
It's kind of terrifying. Okay. So, two things. One, I want to talk about how you define, that transition from being rude to being cruel, like how you define that. How do you teach that to students? But also, can you just give us a high level of what the business looks like? Is it educating? Is it just around education? It sounds like you guys are actually helping with execute, like you're actually helping people get pages pulled down too. So give us like the basics of I Can Help
Sure.
on a larger scale.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, the fun part about it is we're using this time to actually rebrand, and we want to actually make I Can Help will stay as the nonprofit, and we're still figuring out what that's going to look like, but I Can Help will definitely be the nonprofit, and we'll focus on we have a huge internship of students who help us. So our internship actually just opened up, and we're going to have 8 interns. They're going to be the lead interns, and then they have people underneath them that are specialists, and they get mentors from big companies that come in and give them the support. And they do virtual calls every month with them, and they get trained. And so with that, that's how I get the help with our we now have mental health. We teamed up with mental health, so with Providence Health. We've created, it's called Work to Be Well, and there's a website called worktobewell.org, and it has curriculum resources all for mental health, because we're in such a dark phase right now in our world. And so that's where my focus has definitely been, is teaming up with mental health with that piece. And then we're also, yes, we do educate and empower. So we have courses. Right now, there's a free one on our website for parents, because I think parents need to be educated on what's going on. So even though you have a 7-year-old, 13 is coming up really fast, and usually they want to get on TikTok even earlier. They want to get on, and you're supposed to be 13 to be on Roblox, on TikTok, on Fortnite. You're supposed to be 13.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
That? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And interesting enough, Roblox, they don't make you lie. They just say, are you 13? And you can say no. So that way because they don't want you to lie. But all the other ones, you have to lie to be able to make an account for your child.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Because it's information sharing, because they're sharing their information. So that's why you're supposed to be 13. So our parent course is free right now during this time. It takes about 45 minutes, and you actually end up getting a certificate at the end to be able to prove that you got it. So we actually encourage school districts to do it as an assignment, and given a reward to the parents who do take it, because we need parents to walk side by side with their kids. So that's our nonprofit. And Digital for Good, we're right now in the process of making that its own separate company. So any company who wants to be Digital for Good or help make Digital for Good and make it better, they would come to us. And that one's where we're going to hopefully have more. We're going to have all the courses. We'll have a book. We have our event that's going to be for the Digital for Good event for students. And that's what they would support in that. So we're separating the two companies that way, is what we're doing right now. Yeah.
What about for teachers? I'm just thinking about, I would imagine, especially you coming from the middle school world, which I'm pretty sure is the Thunderdome. If I remember middle school the same way, like I remember that being a pretty intense time. Do you guys, what kind of education do you do for teachers?
Yeah, so our model, what it was I was going out and doing school presentations. I would go into a school, do a whole school presentation, like kind of like an assembly, right?
Mhm.
And then in that, there's curriculum that we give, and so once we leave, there's curriculum for them to continue the conversation. But
Mm.
we were in the process of changing that anyhow, because it's just kind of a bad model of I can't get to every school, and to train people to be a teacher is really hard
Yeah.
and engaging to this age group. So we were actually changing it. So had an event set up at Twitter at headquarters in San Francisco, which ironically, they've just announced that they're no longer going to have, they're going to have the other employees work from home. Like,
Oh, wow.
like for,
Going
I don't know,
forward.
forever. Yeah, kind of like for good for right now. Yeah. So we'll see.
Wow. Okay.
But that's a very interesting announcement that they made. But we were supposed to have an event at their headquarters. We would have brought in 100 educators in. We would have done the trainer model. And so then they can go back to their schools, and we would give them
Mhm.
the PowerPoint presentations. We would give them everything. They then go back and train their students on how to do it. So you get, instead of me having one event where it's 1,000, I get to impact 1,000 students. When you
Sure.
have 100 teachers, now you go back, that's 100,000 students you're impacting.
Multiply your impact. What about a
Yeah.
certification program for the teachers as well? Because I'm sure
Yeah.
they'd love that. And then you
Yeah.
can sell it to the school districts.
Yeah, so we have a course for parents. We have a course for teachers to teach them how to get to be able to make them students feel comfortable with them, to come to them to report stuff. And then we have a course for admins that can teach them how to report and how to investigate, because it's hard. Like Snapchat, when you're looking at something, it does disappear. It doesn't really disappear, but it does. So
Mhm.
it's hard to do an investigation. So it's teaching them how to handle that. It gives them sample letters that they can send home to parents when they have something come up, if it's a threat
Oh, wow.
or a
This
fake
is great.
account. Yeah, they
Mhm.
have all that. I am right now in the process of making the student online course, because that way every student can get the digital citizenship and digital wellness kind of a course that'll be right there at their fingertips. And same thing, it'll be a certificate at the end saying, yes, you did take it. And so it's a good PD for professional development for the staff and for students.
So I'm curious. When I think about us addressing the result, which is to say you have a fake page that's put up for a teacher,
Mhm.
or you have someone that's, I guess we wouldn't use the word bullying, and that's great insight. Don't use the word cyberbullying because it's been overused and it no longer has impact to them. That was a great tip. I think about addressing the result, but then when I think about moving back on the timeline and go, well, how did we get here? Like, what's the steps before? Are you seeing trends with the people that put this out? Like you said earlier, hurt people hurt people. Is it like there's a kind of a profile of someone that is using digital for bad? Or is it just, well, it's just a societal thing and so many kids are doing it, there's not really a profile of the kind of kiddo that gets, well, I guess they're not teenagers, that get into this place where they're using it for bad, that they're bullying people, that they're putting up fake accounts?
Mhm. Honestly, there's a couple different scenarios on this. So yes, it usually is those kids who are not monitored at home and they're bored and
Okay.
they're just in there with nothing to do and their parents aren't checking what they're doing. Or it's the kid who their parents are so strict and they don't have anything, that they're doing it like behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And their parents don't even think they even have an account. It's like, no, they haven't. They not only have one account that you don't know about, they have a second account. And so a lot of times the parents, being really careful of saying never my kid. Like, don't ever say never my kid. Like,
Oh, that's good advice.
it's so hard. Like you always want to go in with best intent, and you want to be able to protect your child and be an advocate for your kid, of course. But you just never know like what they're capable of. The other one I find interesting that we've had a lot of cases this way. There's a page called I Hate Kim Karr, right? And when I investigate, when someone investigates on it, or
Mhm.
let me use it on you, April. So it's like I hate April, because it'll be easier for me to.
It might
So
exist.
yeah, it might exist. Well, we actually do the investigation, and what we actually come to find out, it was actually you who created it. And here's the reason why: is because you want to find out, is anyone going to have my back? Does anybody like me? Because you're feeling so lonely and insecure with yourself. You want to see, okay, if someone actually made I Hate April page, is anybody going to reach out to me saying, are you okay? Actually, this is not right. This isn't okay. Are they going to report it? So we're also finding that as a huge piece, because it's
Wow.
the mental of comparing, and the mental of, is I feel so alone that that's what they go on there and they're bored to do. So it's a call, like they're calling out for help. So that's another one that you have to be really careful when you're tiptoeing around different things. It's yeah, and they're usually people who are struggling with a lot of mental health issues.
Wow. That
Mhm.
it's this education is amazing, Kim. I'm blown away on it. Never occurred to me that they would be making the page themselves. And
Yeah.
that ultimately it comes back to, well, this is the way that they cry for help now. It just looks
Mhm.
different than maybe it did 15 years ago.
Yep.
Wow. And I think that's really sound advice for parents is never say, not my kid, never my kid. Because I've seen the best parents be in that situation where they have a great relationship. I'm thinking of one in particular. She has a great relationship, great mother, very tight with her kids, and was very surprised to find out that their her kids were doing some activities she wouldn't approve of, we'll say.
Yeah.
And that was for me growing up, that was one of just it was a stark reminder that the kids they kind of they get their independence and they do things that we don't know, and so we always have to be aware that they may be up to stuff that we don't know about. We can know
Mhm.
our kids, but they're still up to stuff that we don't know about, so we have to be open to this suggestion. We have to hear what you're saying and going, okay, well, how does this apply in my household? Even if you got a great relationship with your kid, even if you think you know what your kids are up to. I love when you said they think they don't even have a social media account. They've got one and they've got a backup to that one too. So some parents I've seen, they okay, well, you can have a social media account, but I have to be on your social media account. But you highlighted a huge gap in that. Was, well, yeah, you can be on the one that the parent's on, but they've got this other one that you don't know
Mhm.
about with all this activity that you're unaware of.
Yeah.
Um, it's a tough thing to navigate. So what again, I'm coming at it from the perspective of a parent. We haven't even talked about the business and how you're navigating this time. I'm just like, Kim, I'm so fascinated by this stuff. So, okay. So and then we got to go on the business part of it. But for the parents, is it okay? So being aware, I love when you said if you're aware of the people that they're hanging out with in real life, you better be aware of the people that they're hanging out in their digital life. I think that's something we do really have to dial into. Like, who are they talking to? Who are they online with? Who are they messaging? And then what's the nature of that? How do parents become aware of that? Is it looking at their phone? Is it being on their accounts? Like, what does that look like from a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. So there's a couple different things. Like my best advice is if they are like if they're especially if they're older, right? Let's talk about that one first. It is checking like who are their Instagram, who are they following on Instagram, and even having them sit down instead of asking them how was your day. Hey, show me your day. What did you take pictures of? Did you put anything on your story? Right? Did you put anything on your Instagram story? What did your friends put on their story? Like then have them show you like what their friends are putting on their stories so they can see what they're following, and just make it never want to make it where they feel like you're where it's a investigation. It's more like I just really want to know, right? Like I want to know who you're hanging out with, and like has it as like a kind of a piece. And so it is just having that kind of a nice feeling conversation there. The other one is always check, because so many plans now are so unlimited plans, right? Family unlimited plans,
Mhm.
and it used to be where you only got so much time, right? And now basically we have it unlimited, and so you're basically going here's my credit card. You get unlimited. Go spend
Mhm.
as much as you want. It's like, would you really do that, right? Or
Mm.
would you want to go to a buffet and say, go eat as much as you want? Because if you go eat as much as you want, you get a upset stomach afterwards, right? And
Mhm.
so we have to limit that. And so checking even every month, checking how much data they're using, how much text they're sending, because if the numbers are super high or super low, then they're going through some mental health issues there, and that's a red flag. So just kind of those kind of things are things you want to be aware of. If you have younger kids like you, there should be a certain time. Even making them have a habit where every chore they do, they get a certain amount of time as a reward. You get 30 minutes or 15 minutes of screen time when you do this chore.
Mhm.
And especially now when screen time, it's okay right now that screen time is higher because there isn't much to do, right? Like, so that's okay, but make it where they have to earn it. Like they have to
Mhm.
earn to get that screen time, even if it is you know, put away their clothes, or they put put one dish in the dishwasher. Yeah, you get 10 minutes. Like however you
Mhm.
can do that, like make it so that they have that earn that. But it is just having natural conversations
Mhm.
with them.
You know, what's interesting is as I'm thinking about this with older kids, teenage kids, I
Yeah.
would see that there's an inherent challenge in that. My guess is adults don't have good digital etiquette. So how are you implementing, like, okay, well, your phone time's done, and then the adult sits on the couch and scrolls for the
Mhm.
next 45 minutes? Is that something that I imagine this is a hurdle that you have to face when educating parents, and how do you combat that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's so important to always have family screen time, screen-free time, right? Like, with, hey, here's our same thing. I think we need to get. I'm so excited that we had this quarantine time because uh, people are actually sitting down and having dinners again with each other and having
Mhm.
conversations. So there should be dinner time, and then there should be family no screen time. So when you're watching a show, most families used to, like, well, they'll watch a show and be on their phones, they're emailing and doing their post and whatever else. It's like, no, that's your perfect time to be able to have it where you're showing them you need to be a good role model as well.
Mm,
And if you don't want them to overshare on their page, then why are you oversharing on your page? If
mm,
you don't want them to get in heated conversations, then why are you doing that on heated conversations, right? And just even the, like, political stuff, like, it gets, like, it's so sad to see, like, my friends don't follow certain friends anymore because of how people are being so brutal, and we're not being good role models
mhm,
to our future. 100% how I speak to students. Our students are not our future. They are right now. We need their help more than ever than right now because they were born in this generation of this new map, and adults were not. So adults are
mm.
struggling. They don't know how to navigate this, where students do. And so we need their help right now to be able to help adults navigate this time, because there's no parents who were born in the social media age yet.
There's no parent. Sorry, you cut out for a second, Kim.
There's no parents who were born in the social media age. So
So true. So true. And I imagine that's why probably part of you bringing in so many interns, because this is their world. This isn't our world. We had to learn this world, but they were raised in this world.
yeah, 100%. And that's why we're very proud that we say we're student led, or student run, student led. I give them a lot of control. Like, it's we have a lead intern, and like, they run with it and they're in charge of everyone. And so that's why students do love working with us, because they're the ones who make the decisions, and
Mhm.
I just support them. Is it a lot
Yeah.
more risk? It is, but it's also a lot more reward too at the end, because they get to see their end product.
Yeah.
And then it also helps us because it's now we do really peer-to-peer education is what we believe in.
Mhm.
Because can you imagine a teacher who's never used Snapchat trying to teach about Snapchat,
I was
or even
thinking of that.
TikTok, right? Like, it's hilarious watching people adults use TikTok right now. Like, it's hilarious.
It's a lot. That's actually been one of the wins out of quarantine, is like the parents dancing on TikTok. I'm loving that part of it.
Me too. It's
I'm
hilarious.
loving that part. And what's interesting is that even though our kids are not on social media and they are
Mhm.
young and they know about it, the other day I took a photo of them, and my oldest said, "Hey, mom, put that on Facebook." And I'm like, "But how how do you know about this, and why would you
Mhm.
suggest that?" And again, they're learning. That's the problem, is we're modeling constantly, and they're not only just picking up the lessons that we're intentionally giving them, they're picking
No.
up all the other lessons. And I think that's such a good point, Kim, of if we're going to model, we need to model good digital behavior, good social media behavior, whether that's when we're on our phone and how much we're on our phone, to the conversations that we're having, because they're picking up that lesson too. We
Mhm.
can't say be nice to others and then get on and roast someone on social media and think that that's okay. And they'll see it because they're better at searching and finding it than we are.
Mhm.
So we can't hide our digital footprint, because they're smarter than us in this regard. They're going to find it all. It's a good reminder. So talk about some of the changes that are happening right now. So you said, it sounds like some benefits have come out of this. You guys have made some pivots. Talk to us about what is happening right now, some of the positives, and also just how the day-to-day has changed.
Yeah. So, well, for sure, my day to day has changed because it used to be me on the road. Like, I was on the road pretty much every day, going to different states and speaking either at schools or conferences. And now that's not happening. So it's been giving me the time. Like, man, I'm blessed with this time because it's just allowing me to rebrand, to refocus, to get some of these online courses finished that we can then support more students and impact more people, right? And parents and educators and all these people. And so the big change was my co-founder, actually, because of the work that we do, got recruited to TikTok to be the trust and safety of a marketing team. And so he left to go that, which we no longer have his support, but it was honestly a blessing because we wouldn't have been able to afford his salary kind of a thing. So it was really nice blessing on that end. And he's still on our board, so we'll be able to use him to be able to have that kind of thing. So it's just great to be able to see that. So now it's been me. I've been the person who's in charge of the curriculum and creating the curriculum and going out and doing the presentations, where he was all the business side. So I'm actually learning business right now is what I've been doing. I've been learning and trying to get myself with people. And thank you for meeting with me. And it was back in February. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, April. Like, I'm a business person. I'm a teacher.
Oh, you are now. You're a businesswoman through and through.
I'm now 100% a businesswoman. And like I said, your podcast has just helped me with that, to be able to get that confidence of like, oh, wow, this is an actual normal feeling that I'm supposed to have as a business person. Thank you. Yeah. So like it's building a foundation is what I'm basically doing right now. Is getting the right financial person that's helping with their bookings, getting the marketing team behind us, getting a content writer, getting the people down below, like making a base so that I can feel comfortable and sturdy of like that piece. I was actively looking for an executive director and to be able to take that kind of position because we really need help with that. And interesting enough, someone found us from YouTube, like a YouTube video.
Sounds like an awesome someone. Sounds like she was perfect fit.
Right. And it just, all the things that we needed totally matched exactly what I was looking for. And so she does work with companies that we're trying to target that, are successful right now during this time. That you're looking for people who want to help us, because mental health and digital citizenship are the two hottest topics that people need to be talking about and get people engaged, because those are the two biggest issues. Because I really think that next school year, there's going to be still some hybrid education going on with online learning. There has to be probably. So we need to make sure that all these students know how to use their devices, because that didn't happen when they went home. And so we want to be the ones that they come to and get that education from us. So that's kind of, we're going to be splitting the companies with the nonprofit and then the for-profit branch, which there's a lot of questions that I am still looking for to get some companies to help me with that. Like, I don't know if it was in my nonprofit, am I allowed to transfer anything over to the for-profit? I don't know those kind of questions. So that's what we're trying to get answered, so we can get that kind of dialed in.
Yeah. So when I think about how you got into this, Kim, I'm curious if we go back to the beginning of the conversation when you're saying, hey, how I got into this is I was tasked with doing, I think you said a presentation or something on digital etiquette. So this was kind of given to you, but then after you got shoulder tapped, I mean, you ran with it. Was there a particular instance or catalyst was there a moment that you said, I need to be the one that does something about this? I mean, you were a PE teacher. I think you said you did leadership classes. Like, you were on a very different trajectory. And yet then you completely went in a different direction. There had to have been a catalyst for that. Was it a story? Was it a person? What was it?
You're like, get me teary-eyed. It's people. It's students. It's not just one. It's multiple. There's so many stories that just go along with this job that just keeps me going. Sorry.
No, it's okay. You're going to make me cry too. It's all right. We're going to cry together. It's going to be great.
Yeah, because I am. The joke is, and I joke about it, but I'm not tech savvy. But trust me, I'm 100% trying to be tech sexy. That's all I got. But what I'm doing is I'm teaching people how to be humans online. And that's exactly what's missing, is there's real people behind that screen. And so it's not just one person, it's so many kids who are being impacted. Like I said, it's Mia who just texted me this morning who's got issues. Like, someone's created a new page on her, right? Like, so sorry. But yeah, that's exactly what it's for. It's these kids that have the story, or the adults, the teachers that are struggling. There's so many people who've got these problems.
Yeah. So. And I can only imagine how much it devastates them, their business, their image, their confidence. their relationships, if there's something that's put out there. I mean, it could hurt every aspect of their life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's what keeps me going is the students. And then it's so powerful then to see the power that they can do in a positive way. Like, I'm going to go this way just so I can help my crying effect. But
that's good.
Yeah, you're going to love the story. Clementine, man, she's so awesome. She's from Carmel, California. And she volunteered at her high school, Carmel High School, and was going in and doing like community service work, going into the shelters, was finding out that the number one item that the shelters needed were tampons and pads. Because it's the only medical item that are taxed, right? And so, and diapers. So when she found that out, she was like, and then she looked up the stats. 23% of California students live in poverty. 5 days a month, those students who live in poverty, if they're females, they'll miss school because they would rather not go to school than be embarrassed of having an issue, right? So Clementine decided to make Tampon Tuesday, where every Tuesday she's asking students to donate tampons, right? Or pads. So she made 2 boxes to put in the classrooms of teachers. Well, at first, because this is a stigma, right? Is, ew, gross. Why would I want to have that box in my room? Right? So she was like, okay, then she would just give it to the teachers who want it. Well, then all of a sudden she got her guy friends, hey, can you hold these tampons on your Instagram or for Instagram? Sure. So then here's these boys modeling Tampax and going Tampon Tuesday, or throwing a boomerang and throwing tampons up in the air and saying Tampon Tuesday. Boys started
taking the stigma out of it.
And boys started bringing their moms tampons and asking their moms, can we donate a box? And so she created a movement at her school, reached out to me saying like, what else can I do? And I go, you need to start tagging the companies who sell these things. So she started tagging Tampax. They started sending her crates and crates of tampons to get, right? And so then what I've done is I've teamed up with her. We team up. I go tell her story when I'm presenting this to students. I'm like, hey, who in here can do a Tampon Tuesday back at their school? And they all are like boys, girls, everyone are raising their hand that they're going to go back to their school and do a Tampon Tuesday.
Wow.
Like that. I mean, right there, that's why this keeps me going. And no matter, I have frustration with technology because I'm like not the most savagey person, but I'm making myself, nope, I am a technology person now. Like I'm getting redefining who I am. And I'm tech sexy. Let's go. Like I
just check me out online.
Check me out.
So, you know what? And I think, just kind of from a mindset standpoint, that's really going to serve you, is redefining that you were a teacher. Now you're a businesswoman. You leverage your skills and expertise from teaching for your role as a businesswoman, but you were unequivocally a businesswoman. The dinner that you and I had at Sushi was 100% a business meeting. 100%. You presented what you were doing. You presented what you were looking to do, the vision of the nonprofit. I mean, you are a businesswoman through and through. And so, and the awesome thing is you've got the exact expertise for this mission. It's exactly you. Like you check all the boxes. So whether it's tech sexy or tech savvy, you're working with all the people that you need to. And I know that you've been partnering with some pretty big names. Talk to us about how that happened. The people that you're working with, the big companies that you're working with. How did you get visibility? Was it as simple as tagging them? Did you reach out proactively? Talk to us about that progression.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was truly been word of mouth of people going, this is working. Like whatever they're doing, this is working. And so we first got Google to recognize what we were doing. And my co-partner kind of invited them, hey, can you come check this out? They wanted data. We started giving them data. And then I got Twitter. Twitter was like, can I come watch you? And I'm like, sure. So they came and saw me speak at St. Helena High School. And once that Twitter employee saw it, she was like, I'm backing you, made us verified, got us on the Twitter safety board team. Then from there, it was another company came and was like, how are you getting these students to report? Like, how are you getting them to do exactly what them to do? And I'm like, we just educate them, and that we're using the right terminology. Like you're using the wrong words. Even the reporting process, man, it's gone. We were in a big process of that. I'm like, we don't even know what these words are. Like here I am as an adult and I'm trying to report something. Like I have no clue how to report. It was like 8 steps. And so it was so nice to like see that progress.
Mhm.
And then it was another one was Aaron Judge from the Yankees was looking for a nonprofit for a Sharpie deal. And so Sharpie picked Aaron up, and then he needed to have a nonprofit to back. And he didn't think we were ready because he thought we were too small. And so he wasn't sure. And then he came back and asked us, like, do you guys want to do this? We're like, yeah. Well, we actually surpassed there was 4 other athletes that were asked, and our numbers passed them. And so when Sharpie asked, like, how is this possible? Well, number one, Aaron Judge truly is the nicest human alive. Like, what you see is what you get. That guy is the nicest human. Both of his parents were teachers and educators. He's the most positive human, so it was a natural fit for him to work with us. And then social media, how they were getting the impressions is because, number one, educators love Sharpies. You can be like, what would you do instead of a Klondike bar, what would you do for a Sharpie? Teachers will do anything for a Sharpie. And then because we're social media, it was these teachers, when they would go into Target to find our package, they would take pictures and then post about it and tag us and tag Sharpie because it was a natural fit. And so Sharpie was like, this is incredible. So and then after you get one, it just a domino effect of trying to get more. So yeah, we're looking for more companies that, we're great exposure for you, because I guarantee you, if you put our image and your image together, people are going to put you up on social media.
Yeah. What's interesting is that story is a great example of using digital for good. Like right there. That was a great example of, we used social media to leverage the mission, and it worked for the good. So specifically talk about the companies that you are looking, because I do want us to understand the people that are watching, the people that are going to watch us on the replay and on the pivot-me.com. I think it's /interview. We'll put the interviews. We'll put the link in the show notes. For people that are watching this, what kind of companies are you looking for? Like, who do you want to partner with? How do people how do you align the direction you guys are headed and these other companies? Because I think a lot of people are listening to what you're saying, Kim, and your excitement and your passion, and people are going, yes, me, I want to help, whether that's individuals or companies. So talk to us about what that looks like.
Yeah, so like right off, I mean, 2 companies I have in mind, because I know they're doing really well, is Amazon and Microsoft, because of they're being really inventive. Microsoft created what's called Flipbook, which a lot of educators are now using, so that they can actually do small videos and then students then respond back with video. And so those 2 companies are like the big ones I have in mind right now, just because they're using technology both in totally different ways. Amazon, because people are just buying everything.
So for those that are listening right now, here's the question. Who do you know at Amazon? Do you know Jeff? Who do you know at Amazon? Who do you know at Microsoft that would love to partner with Kim and the nonprofit? Because someone right now is listening to this and they're already jotting down, I'm going to reach out. So make sure that you reach out, make sure that you connect, make sure you share this. So we need to, this happened on another call where someone said, I really wish that I knew a manufacturer of Italian women clothes, and we got them connected like within 48 hours. So Kim, give us exact, I didn't mean to cut you off. Give us exactly what you're looking for. So I love it. So talk to continue.
Yeah, I think the other one we're looking for too is any other company that wants to make digital for good, right? Anyone who it really truly uses digital, like any marketing firm, any company that uses digital to build, and they need some kind of a feel good story. Like, we're it. Like, nothing is better than our feel good is teaching kids how to use digital for good, and then they're actually showing you how to use it for good, right? With their stories. Their stories are incredible. We love when we can work with any company that does a give back day. So we just did one with Twitter. They called it Twitter for Good Day. They gave me 15 employees. It was all done virtually. They gave me 15 employees to be mentors to our interns. So then my interns showed up, and I think we had 28 student interns who showed up, and we got them in teams. And then I invited more mentors. So we actually had more mentors than students, Wow. And so there was basically a mentor for every student, but then they were in groups and they worked on a project, and we worked from 11 to 3, and we got so much done, and it was amazing. So that way, if you want to have a give back day, I know a lot of companies do those kind of things where they do give backs. We are able to use your marketing team. We're able to use your Twitter gave me their engineer. So they were able to help me with my website. Like taught a student, a junior in high school, the Twitter engineer taught a junior in high school how to use Squarespace. So now she feels so confident. She's like, what do you need now for your website? Like, so now I have this junior in high school that now has that skill set to be able to work with website.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's
So
just I mean, this isn't just about education. I mean, it's to your point earlier, this is 100% you're empowering these kids. You're empowering these interns and you're making little entrepreneurs out of them, which I selfishly love. You're just encouraging that creativity and that entrepreneur spark and the desire to use your skill set and your influence for massive impact.
yeah, that model, we can now use it because it was done all remotely. We just use
Mhm.
breakout rooms to be able to push them into to be able to work on their projects. So another
Mhm.
group was working on campaigns, and they already used all the knowledge they got from their mentor. We were able to get Christine Lilly, who's a professional soccer player. She was on the 99 gold medal team. They got her on Instagram Live to kind of have a conversation with. They also got Kachi, who was on America's Got Talent. So they reached out to her. They drafted how to word the wording to be able to get an Instagram Live with her. So they were used anything they had, they were able to use it. And then now this week we're doing a smile card week where it's just like an uplifting. Again, it's all mental health. These
Mhm.
smile cards is gearing up for Monday, which is a day that Adam's the one that created them, and Adam lost his best friend to suicide. And
Mm.
so Monday is the day that it's his and Michael's anniversary of his death. And so these smile cards are just uplifting things. Today's Thursday. I know yesterday was shout out to their service workers. I
Mhm.
think today might be family or something like that. But you're supposed to do these smile cards, and so Adam got training at this Twitter for Good by their marketing team and by influencers, and he taught them who he should team up with to be able to help with that kind of push. So he was able to make a campaign that he was then able to send, that he knew the document that then needs to get pushed out to all the influencers. And
Mhm.
now these influencers are now teamed up with him to be able to get his smile cards out more. Yeah.
Wow. You are making big waves, Kim.
Yeah, it's so fun to see. And so again, we have our internship right now, and we're looking for mentors that are willing to be also on the call. They meet once a month, the third Sunday of the month, and it's 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but of course that can change whatever they want. We just like to be consistent. And
Mhm.
then they usually takes about 30 to 40 minutes for them to plan their monthly projects. And then at the end, we were hoping the mentor would then teach them something, either how to use LinkedIn or how to create a campaign or how do you write a blog or whatever they need to teach, right? Then they would teach
Mhm.
that. So we're also looking for some mentors that are wanting to volunteer a June to June process. So yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Mhm.
that's great. So for those who are listening that want to help and are wondering how they can, being a mentor is also an option. So Kim, talk to us about that. I'm just looking at our time. I want to be cognizant of our time. When people are listening to this and people are motivated and people are excited, you've given us some great insight. I always walk away kind of excited and also terrified at what happens when my kids become old enough to be on social media. When people are listening to this, I mean, you're empowering kids. I mean, you're turning people on to this amazing thing. You know, positivity is my superpower. I love that. I love that messaging. How do people help you? Like, whether that's the help the nonprofit, whether it's showing up as a mentorship, or as a mentor, can you talk us through some ways that people can help what you're doing?
Yeah. So students, how they help is they do everything from send me they send positive quotes, and then they turn them. They even use just Canva. They use like an app, and they make it so we send them our brand book, so they know that we teach them about branding, and like we show them the color scheme, this and that. So then we teach them that, and then they create those things. They write blogs for us because everyone wants to know, like, what is it like right now for a kid to go through this? What are they thinking? So
Mm.
they're writing blogs for us. They're making the graphics, so they're learning about branding book, and our graphic designer has made some videos, some quick little videos for them to learn how to do some of the stuff, depending on what program they're using. So then they're even making that. They're helping us edit videos for it.
Mm.
Man, sometimes the student videos are better than adult videos that we get made.
I believe that. I
It's
believe that.
like, yeah, it's crazy. So those are some of the things that the students are doing, or even they're researching. They're even researching like who we should reach out to that are doing cool things, right? They
Mm.
love Ketchy. They loved her story and her message of what she's doing. So then they wanted to reach out to her on that. Adults, how they're helping again is I'm only one. I'm literally there's only one full-time employee now, and so any kind of adult can help. Like that's amazing. Like I need help getting to some adult that can get this news out. Like we should get some news stories easily. There's so many stories that we could be able to get, trying to get on some news stations. And I honestly have always jokingly said, but we're serious at the same time, like getting on Ellen, but I don't want it to be me. It should be a kid. Like students should be going on and sharing this message. If it is Ellen, or if it is even the, coffee morning things where it's students getting to talk about the power of social media and like how you can use it for the right reasons. And they can even like, how cool would it be if a student shows you like, here's snap maps and here's what it looks like. And here's how I actually use it for the positive things. Cause every adult thinks it's just used in a negative way. So even being an adult can help with that, of marketing that, or there's definitely different ways that adults have help, like website help. They've helped me with writing press releases. They've helped me write different things, even blogs. They've done all kinds of things on that. So,
wow.
And then sponsorships definitely help us with that. There's all kinds of ways you can help.
So sponsorship, so kind of on the business side of things. So we've got student, adult, and then business. Wow. Kim, this has been amazing and insightful. And, what we talked about, some questions that I was going to ask, and I went a totally different direction, Kim. So I'm like, this is so amazing. I love seeing the work that you're doing. We're definitely going to do pretty detailed notes on how you can, for the listeners, how we can help. I can help. Like that's a huge part of this. Kim's working very, very hard. She was a road warrior, she's now been stuck at home during quarantine, which again, ended up being a blessing in that we can dial in some processes and rethink the best way to execute on our strategy. But when this changes, you're probably going to be back out being a road warrior, and you're going to need people that can then help you in this process. And there are people that are listening right now. Hopefully there's people that are listening that know Ellen. Just saying, hook Kim up. But there are people that are listening right now who can help you, who can make a huge impact, whether that's website, whether that's copy, whether that's from a marketing perspective. There are people that are listening that can help what you're doing. What you're doing is so, so important. And I love it. I support it. I want to talk more about how we can continue to have conversations around this. Where do people find you, Kim? If someone wants to engage, where do they go? We're going to put the link to your website, but where do we go?
Yeah. On Instagram and on Facebook, it's I Can Help Official. On Instagram, that is 100% student driven. I'm only allowed to go on there on Tuesdays for a live at 6 p.m.
You're not allowed to go.
Well, I only do anything if they ask me to do it, because it's 100%, they're in charge of it, which is super cool. And then my Instagram is Kim Karr _, I Can Help. And the funny part is I was focused so much on building my Instagram for my company for I Can Help, but I actually didn't. I lost my password for so long for my own personal one. I finally got it back up and running like last year. So
right.
But yeah, and then on Twitter it's just I Can Help, and so that's how you find us. And then our website is icanhelpdeletenegativity.org.
Oh, I love it. I love it. In closing, Kim, what piece of advice or words of encouragement would you share? So usually I do it in relation to, other business owners or people that are leading organizations, giving them a piece of advice, but I want to open it up for you. I want it to be a closing statement of, again, words of encouragement, piece of advice that you want to give. If everyone's listening right now, what would you say?
Well, like I said, I'm teaming up with mental health, and I think mental health is such a big piece, and we have to start taking care of ourselves, and we have to make sure we're taking time for ourselves. And truthfully, what I've been doing is I've been planning time for myself in my schedule. And just like I would plan a business meeting, I'm going to plan time for myself. And so all week long, I plan, here's my time that I'm going to have, because I'm a person who can just keep working all day. I also plan times because I do live alone, I do have times on my calendar of when I have calls with my friends that they check on me or I check in with them. So I think that's so important that yes, we're supposed to be social distancing, but it doesn't mean we should be isolating ourselves. Isolation is not okay. You need to make sure you're connecting with people. So I think that's so important that you're checking in with somebody, having somebody you can have a conversation with. And if it is about work or if it's about just personal stuff. And the other one I really suggest people to do is when you ask someone, how are you doing? Don't just ask them one time, ask them again in a different way, and then ask it again in a different way. Because when you ask someone, how are you doing? What's their usual answer?
Fine. Okay.
But usually I guarantee you this is really hard on everybody. And whatever your usual 100% is right now, you shouldn't be expecting your 100%. Like nobody can do 100% right now because we're dealing with so much like emotions, even though you might not know you're feeling it, you are feeling it. So 80% is about what you can expect to be doing on your normal.
Yeah. That's a really good piece of advice. Because otherwise people can really be setting themselves up for failure or feeling like they're failing in this time. And we've got to really give ourselves some space and some grace to navigate this season. Kim, thank you so much. I love the information. I love what you're doing. Keep at it. I love seeing you show up. Every time I see something that Kim's doing, I'm always excited and I click over and I've got to see what you're up to. So thank you for the work that you're doing, both as a human on this planet, but also as a parent. I really appreciate that you are out there fighting the good fight. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
And